Good morning, Agents of Nothing, and welcome to our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. We are your commanding officers. I'm Mariah.
And I'm Caroline.
And today we're going to be talking about Season 4, Episode 5, Lockup.
Hell yeah. So Mariah, how was your week?
It was good. I've been busy with work, but I'm not, burnt out. So far, so good.
Yay.
And
That's awesome.
I'm actually hanging out with a couple of friends after recording.
Ooh.
And I'm running late, so if this episode seems rushed, I apologize.
It's because we do have lives sometimes.
Yeah, only sometimes, though.
Only sometimes.
How was your week?
It's been okay. I did get to hang out with some musician friends last night, so that was fun.
Yeah, that's nice.
We're just being creative, making some new stuff. So, yeah.
Nice.
So, let's get into it.
So this episode was written by sisters Nora and Leela Zuckerman.
Ooh.
And directed by Kate Woods.
Wow, is this our first all-female team?
I don't feel like it is, but it is something that I noted.
That's so cool.
Truly.
Love that.
And I believe both Nora and Leela messaged me about my viral video.
Aww.
I should message one of them and be like, hey, you want to be on the pod?
We're talking about your episode this week. Cool. Yeah, you should definitely come on the pod.
Come on the pod. It's been a while since we've done one of those.
I know.
All right. Do we meet any new characters?
So we do, but I don't remember if they said his name or not. But the gang member or ex-gang member of the Fifth Street Locos.
They do say his name at the end of the episode, but I do not remember it.
Yeah, I didn't catch it, so that's all though. So here we go, diving right in.
All right.
First of all, Lucy and Joseph are alive! We are back in time a little bit. Lucy and Joseph are searching in a dark, gross, possibly abandoned basement.
So when Lucy and John are looking for and find the Darkhold, one of the walls has a poster for Quentin Carnival, which apparently, this is not coming from me, but apparently is a clear nod to Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze.
Very clear.
Very clear. To somebody. Not to me, but to somebody.
So Lucy and Joseph, they find a mysterious spot on the dirty floor where there's magic in the air, basically. And so hidden below the floorboards is the Darkhold itself.
So for the prop of the Darkhold, introduced in this episode, Leela suggested that the book's cover should feature the word Darkhold as an ambigram.
I noticed
that. Is, it is the same word even when turned upside down. Not to be confused with a palindrome, which is the same word backwards. Oh, palindrome, whatever. I was homeschooled.
You just read stuff. It's okay.
Yeah. With the series prop department designing a new font to achieve this. The prop department had 2 weeks to create the book before it was needed for filming the episode.
The final
book.
Oh my God.
Yeah. With the final book assembled by a bookbinder using aged vellum pages that were filled with text and illustrations inspired by Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man.
Wow. That's so crazy. Okay, so were all of the pages filled with text, or did they have some empty ones? Because a lot of the time that they looked at it, it was empty.
Yeah, they probably had some empty pages.
That's so cool. 2 weeks to make the whole thing, though. Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty dang cool. We love a prop department.
We love the prop department, especially on this show. They do a damn good job.
Give them a raise. I know
Retroactively.
I know it's been like 4 years. Give them a raise. Anyway, so Lucy and Joseph, as we just said, they open the book and it's blank at first. But then slowly, writing starts to appear. And they're each understanding it in their own native language. She sees English, but he sees German.
My note here was, you're looking for a magical book, and your first thought when it does something magical is, that's not possible. Hello? What did you expect?
Right? Yeah, I love that. I do think that was a cool idea, though, to make it start off blank, like it's like reading whoever is opening the book, to be like,
yeah.
What language do you need?
Yeah. That comes back in a cool way.
So back to present day, Coulson and Mac are with Joseph in the hospital, asking him about the book and about his wife. He keeps telling them to get away from him because they're demons, because he's infected by his wife. That's an STD. Finally, he says they can have the book. He doesn't want it. And as he's literally coding and dying, he says he buried it back where he found it, but they're too late because Lucy already knows. And then we cut to Lucy's ghost finding the book again, but to her horror, the writing fades back to blank pages, because I guess it only reveals itself to humans and she's dead, but she's like only sort of dead, so it read her and showed up a little bit, and then it was like, oh wait, you're not really here. Never mind.
I love that. You could say the Darkhold has a blank space.
Ooh. You know, we haven't had a Taylor Swift reference in a while.
We haven't. Remember when we were like, we're going to have a Taylor Swift reference every single episode. We're going to hide one in every episode.
You know, I feel like just because of who we are and the way that we grew up and the way that we talk, there probably still is. We just didn't do it on purpose for a while. Anyway, so Coulson, Mac, and May are discussing the next steps on the plane. And by discussing, I really mean Coulson is telling them, and then he's like, this is a safe space for suggestions. Anyway, so Coulson says that they can't bring this to the new director because they don't know if he's trustworthy yet. He says that they need to get this book taken care of immediately because even Fury was afraid of how powerful it is. Sorry, I just hit a button and now I lost my place.
No.
Where did it go? Okay, because even Fury was afraid of how powerful it is. They all agreed to Mac's idea of getting Eli out of prison to help them track Lucy down. Robbie, who's listening from just the other side of the room, which I love that he was like, I'm not part of this conversation, but I'm still listening.
Yeah.
Robbie says that'll never work. Eli won't talk to them. But Mac says, we won't give him a choice, which is rude. May goes to talk to the warden, and then Mac and Coulson are also just way ruder than necessary in telling Robbie that he's not going with them to get his uncle. They only want him leaving the plane when they're actually going after the ghosts themselves. I don't understand why they're being so mean to him.
Truly.
He's done nothing but help them since they kidnapped him. And why wouldn't they want him to help convince Uncle Eli to be on their team?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll get into it later a little bit, but I don't really like this episode's portrayal of prisoners.
Yeah. Yeah, Max says some questionable things later.
Yeah. I saw in the script you kind of softened. You softened his quote a little bit, and I was like, Anyway.
So Robbie storms back up to where Daisy has been hiding from everyone, and he rants about needing to get off this plane and get answers his way. And Daisy tells him that she knows this is a personal vendetta for him, but the best way to solve the whole thing is to trust S.H.I.E.L.D. Which, again, why would he trust S.H.I.E.L.D.? They've given him no reason to trust them.
Really?
He throws back that she doesn't even trust S.H.I.E.L.D. Literally. Which is why she's been hiding up here the whole time. And she simply says that distancing herself is what's best for everyone involved.
It makes me so fucking sad.
I know. I know we've covered it a million times, but like literally nothing that she did was her fault. And nobody will just tell her, hey, it wasn't your fault. You don't have to keep like punishing yourself for something that was not your fault. And no one's just like giving her a hug. Can somebody please? So things are tense between Fitz and Simmons. Simmons is upset that Fitz kept Ada from her, but also upset that now she knows right before her polygraph test, on top of all the other secrets she's having to keep. She is very stressed. She also keeps, this is the part that really pissed me off, she keeps having to remind Fitz that Ada uses its pronouns, not she, her, thank you very much. It is not a human. But regardless, she is terrified for her test, and nothing Fitz does is going to make her feel better right now. So Coulson and May have arrived at the prison and are heading through security to speak with the warden. Coulson is begging May to talk about her death experience, like really badgering her about it, and she is refusing. She says, well, it didn't feel like a trip to Tahiti. It's so funny because I feel like I forget sometimes everything that Coulson went through.
I know.
And when she said Tahiti, it was like, it was like I time traveled for a second.
I was looking for stickers for my new water bottle on Redbubble, and I was looking for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stickers, and so many of the stickers said Tahiti. And I was like, part of me wanted to get them, but then another part of me was like, oh, that's such a small section of the show.
Yeah, it's crazy. Man.
But I got a sticker that you won't understand for a couple more seasons.
Okay. Well, you'll have to tell me about it then, and I won't remember this conversation either. Anyway, Coulson says that any memory he might have had of the experience of dying was wiped away, but May remembers everything, and he desperately wants to know what she saw on the other side. She simply scoffs, and then they enter the warden's office. And that's that on that conversation for now.
That's that on that.
But it doesn't last very long before the warden pulls a gun on them and is seeing them as demons. So I guess Lucy had the same idea.
See, I totally thought that the cops were going to be secret watchdogs, but I feel like that would be more true to life than even this show is comfortable with.
Yeah. That would have been the actual situation. Yeah. If this were the real world, that would have been what happened.
If this were the real world, the prisoners would have all been Inhumans, and the cops would have been secret watchdogs.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, so so the warden runs out of bullets, which then of course gives May the chance to knock him out very quickly and beautifully. More guards are coming, which leaves Coulson and May barricaded in the warden's office. And Lucy and her peanut gang are knocking on cell doors in the main prison, supposedly looking for Eli. Back on the plane, Mac starts devising the rescue mission. Daisy is to lead one team to rescue Coulson and May, and Mac is leading the other team to rescue Eli. Robbie is adamant about going with Mac's team, obviously. He says there's no reason to keep him away from rescuing his family. Mac says that Robbie may only kill those who deserve it, but apparently any and everyone could deserve it here. Yes, this is the part where I softened the blow a little bit.
Yeah. The actual quote was more like, everyone deserves it here.
Yeah. Everyone does deserve it.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah. Libby's the one that doesn't like Mac, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, you know what, Libby?
Libby?
We could have a conversation here about that.
You might be onto a little something.
Just a little. So Daisy says that they will be facing the ghosts, though, so it makes sense. Since Robbie is the only one able to kill them, he really should go, obviously. Mac finally agrees and says that Fitz should be arriving with the Quinjet in 5 minutes, so they will be wheels up in 6. Fitz arrives with the newest gadget, cases of sanity, as he calls it. Sorry, almost messed that up there. They are basically upgraded EpiPens that need to be injected at the base of the skull and released directly into the brainstem in order to cure the ghost psychosis. The psygostis. Sorry. No. It didn't work.
That was good, though. I liked it.
Mac, who hates needles, obviously, is less than enthused as the container begins to lower them out of the plane. And always love Fitz and Mac bickering about their different footballs.
Mm-hmm.
Simmons is in the middle of her polygraph test. The proctor is surprised for some reason when she answers that she was once a member of Hydra while on an undercover assignment. And I'm like, if she's apparently been taking these regularly for months, and also you have record of her previous missions, I'm assuming, wouldn't they already know this? Next, he asks her, have you ever obtained sensitive information that you are obligated to report up the security spectrum or to the director? Simmons hesitates, and several alerts go off on the screen. He asks if she needs him to repeat the question, and she starts to say, no, it's just very wide-ranging. When suddenly Jeff himself appears and tells Simmons that she needs to go with him immediately. I'm so scared. I thought she was going to be in trouble.
I know.
So Mac and Robbie are heading down a cell block with no signs of ghosts so far. Fitz says he doesn't see them anywhere on the cameras, so they've either lost Eli or they've gone all ghostly. Robbie sees someone with a gang tattoo that he recognizes, the 5th Street Locos. He starts to get sidetracked seeing and then talking to this guy, unfortunately.
So, showrunner Jed Whedon encouraged the writers to have Mexican characters speak Spanish with one another, which was the first time the pair had written for a language other than English.
Loved that. I mean, I don't know how... I'm assuming that the Spanish was well written, but that was really cool to have. That made it much more real.
Yeah.
Mac grounds him and reminds him this is not the objective, which was nice. You know, when they like go real low, that voice.
Yeah, this is not the objective.
He used his big boy voice, and I liked it.
I know exactly what you mean.
Anyway, so they keep moving. Mac warns Robbie that if Robbie can't control the thing inside him, Mac will have no trouble shooting him. As if that will do anything. because
I know.
like he's indestructible.
I guess Daisy hasn't told them that part.
Maybe. Speaking of, Daisy and her backup finally reach May and Coulson, who had decided to meet her halfway, leaving a trail of unconscious prison guards in their wake. Coulson orders the backup agents to start curing all of the guards of their psychosis so they don't have to keep having the demon conversation. They inject the first guy, who groans in pain at the injection, and May says, "Stop whining." Like she didn't just kick their asses 6 ways to Sunday back there.
So the writers wanted Daisy Johnson's story to be prominent in the episode, since this is the first episode where she's working with the rest of the team during the season. And also realized that this was the first episode where Phil Coulson and Melinda May are together in a while. So they wanted the episode to be like an awkward tension-filled family reunion.
And that it was. I did think that it was interesting that that Mac had Daisy lead the team to rescue Coulson and May, because yeah, she hasn't been a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent for a while, and she still is not.
Yeah. And she was leading the team.
Yeah. That was funny. That's Daisy privileges right there.
Truly.
So Daisy, Coulson, and May are making their way down a cell block that seems to be all watchdogs. Daisy realizes that this must be how they're organizing and gaining new recruits. I don't really understand how that can be the case, because they're all in prison. So, anyway, but they try to ignore the watchdogs jeering, and they keep moving. And then the door at the end of the block is closed and locked, and suddenly Lucy appears on the other end to pull a lever that unlocks and opens all of the cells in the entire block. This seems just really impractical for a prison, actually. And, okay, so it opens all of the cell doors, but not the door that they needed to go to.
Yeah.
So I'm not understanding why that would be the case.
Maybe it's so that they can visit amongst each other.
They're like, you need to stretch your legs a little, walk down the hallway. So Coulson calls for Fitz to open the hall door, and Fitz hesitates because this will then open every door in cell block A, interior and exterior, cells and gates alike. Again, this seems very impractical that they are all connected to the same thing. But Fitz does it anyways. So Coulson, Daisy, and May run through, and then I don't understand why they don't just close it behind them. Because surely it's not gonna stay unlocked. Like, they all just unlocked and opened. So if you close it, I'm thinking it would lock again. Anyway.
I have no idea.
But they don't do that. And so then the watchdogs run through after them. They had plenty of time to do this, too. Like, the watchdogs were waiting for them to run, so...
For some reason, yeah.
So Jeff had Simmons in his office. Hang on, that's a weird way to say that. So Jeff and Simmons are in his office, and he is very serious and says that while he knows that she was loyal to Coulson first, and that may mean she might think there are things that Jeff doesn't need to know, he needs to know everything, actually. Most importantly, he needs to know that he can trust her. Simmons says of course he can. He says, great, so you're gonna help me cheat in a debate with Senator Nadir with a tiny microphone and an in-ear monitor. This is like a kids show kind of storyline at this point.
So apparently for Gemma Simmons and Jeffrey Mace's subplot in the episode, the writers were inspired by the film Broadcast News. The film concerns a virtuoso television news producer who has daily emotional breakdowns, a brilliant yet prickly reporter, and the latter's charismatic but far less seasoned rival.
Wow.
And I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Never seen that.
I've never seen it either. But I believe them.
Sure.
I believe they were inspired.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, they were definitely inspired.
Yeah.
So Robbie and Mac are heading through, I guess, a boiler room or something. There's lots of dripping water, which does not seem like it's supposed to be happening.
Oh my god, speaking of dripping water, I need to say this on the podcast because it hasn't been said, but the store that I work at flooded.
Oh yeah! Fuck!
Thankfully I wasn't there that day.
Oh god.
So I didn't have to help clean up or anything. Like, they had to use,
man.
like, squeegees and towels to clean up.
Yikes. Yikes.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
How many, and like, this is a store full of stuffed animals, basically.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine how many of those were ruined.
Yeah, we've got the stuffed animals, like, at the warehouse with, like, fans blowing on them, but I don't think they're going to be able to be saved.
Yeah. I don't think you would really even want to sell those anyway.
No, I'd be afraid of, like, selling mold to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn.
A moldy jelly cat.
It's just a moldy cat now. Anyway, so in the dripping water room, Robbie is saying that while it is difficult to stay in control, he doesn't want his uncle to see what he's become, so he will keep the ghostwriter in check for that reason and that reason alone. And then, obviously, 2 out of 3 of the ghosts appear. And Robbie incinerates them both, saves Mac's life, but Mac does get infected and have to use his ghostly EpiPen.
I love that there's always a chain for Robbie to grab now.
Yeah, everywhere they go, there's just a chain somewhere. And, like, a really long one, too.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever been in a place that just has, like, a long metal chain just laying around.
Yeah, just a loose chain.
It's not connected to anything.
I'll have to check the warehouse next time I'm there to see if there's just a loose chain laying around.
Yeah, let me know. I mean, I'm glad that it happens because, you know, I'm always ready to see that.
He does look good swinging that thing around.
He sure does. Moving on. So the debate has begun, with Senator Nadir making quick work with her fear-mongering questions, and Jeff is handling each one with grace, with the help of Simmons' facts and figures in his ear, obviously.
News anchor George Stephanopoulos appears in the episode, interviewing the characters Jeffrey Mace and Ellen Nadir.
I knew that he was a real reporter or anchor,
He's
but
a real boy.
Did not know his name.
He also introduced Jeffrey Mace as a patriot,
Yes,
which is his superhero name in the comics.
Oh, I thought we were gonna go a different way with that, but yeah. Anyway, so things are going well until Senator Nadir asks about the ongoing case outside of LA where S.H.I.E.L.D. has currently compromised a prison. Simmons doesn't seem aware of this because she's been fucking busy all day. And Jeff quickly says that they obviously cannot comment on ongoing operations, but S.H.I.E.L.D. has everything under control. Which, yeah, no, why would they, if they're currently there, why would they comment on it?
Yeah, for real.
Like, even if this was a real thing and, like, they shouldn't be there, Why they would not comment on it currently. It's ongoing.
Yeah. Yep. Silly
Senator.
Silly senator tricks are for kids.
Speaking of, Coulson, May, and Daisy are frantically running for their lives from the throng of watchdogs. They try to barricade the entrance to the cafeteria that they get through and then sprint across the room to the exit. But the barricade doesn't hold, like, even for a second because it's on wheels. Daisy gets an idea and pushes Coulson and May through the exit door and then breaks off the handle. She says this is her fight, not theirs, and then jumps on a table to face the watchdogs alone. Daisy and her suicide attempts. I mean, damn.
All the time.
Just constantly.
So many times.
And again, nobody is telling her, hey, babe, it's not your fault. So Coulson tells Fitz to switch it up and get them back in the cafeteria with Daisy, no matter what it takes. But they forget Daisy was May's best student. So she is handling this fight with ease so far. No powers needed. But the watchdogs keep multiplying.
So the episode's prison setting was realized with a mixture of location filming at a real prison and constructed sets.
That's so interesting to me because, like, what do they do with the people that are in the prison?
In the prison, yeah.
Do they,
I don't know.
Like, what happens to them? Did they have, like, just an empty block that they save for, like, in case somebody wants to use it as in their film or show?
I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, maybe what I could see happening is maybe this prison cafeteria was real and then, like, the cell blocks were constructed.
Maybe.
I don't know.
So.
That would be my guess.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mac and Robbie finally find Tio Eli. He hesitates for a moment when he sees Mac, but they explain that Lucy is here and she can walk through walls, and she has the book. So Eli agrees they should get out of there, and fast. Daisy is still fighting really well, but she gets cornered and her arm gauntlets get pulled off. And I forgot to write down earlier that they said that if she quakes anything, there is a risk of shattering her bones so badly that she is permanently disabled. So
ouchie.
This is not good. Senator Nadir continues spouting hate speech and saying that Jeff isn't the man for the job here because he can't speak about Inhumans with honesty. Simmons starts to help with his rebuttal, but Director Mace turns off his earpiece. It's going. It's going down. And he finally admits to the world that he is an Inhuman himself. And he says, we don't deserve to be hunted down. Woo! Damn.
Mace is a damn good politician.
He is.
He knows when to say what he's got to say.
Absolutely. That was, like, truly mic drop moment. Ugh. So Coulson and May have finally found the fastest way into the cafeteria through the trash chutes. Of course.
Of course.
As they're climbing on top of the dumpsters, Coulson reminds May that she never finished telling him what she saw when she was dead. She finally says that she saw Coulson, which was so sweet. Daisy is starting to get overwhelmed. She's backed into a corner and is being choked over the counter, or the stove actually, when May and Coulson finally arrive for the rescue right on time. And Daisy is not appreciative.
Of course she's not. She wanted to die.
Yeah. She says they weren't supposed to come back for her, risking their lives. And Coulson says they can argue over who should have left whom for dead later, when they are back in the Quinn shed that's waiting for them in the yard. Mac and Robbie are guiding Eli through the chaos of the rest of the prison. And Mac stops to help free a couple of guards who got locked in somewhere and tells Robbie to finish escorting Eli to the yard. And I do think it's funny that they just they just got locked into a cell or something.
They're like, help, please.
Please, help me. Anyway, but then Robbie and Eli pass that 5th Street Locos guy, and Robbie can't pass it up. He tells Eli to go ahead and meet with Shield in the yard while he finishes one last thing. Robbie goes back into the 5th Street cell, and the guy is sitting on his bed reading calmly while the rest of the block is brawling in the hallway.
So as big fans of Stephen King, the writers had the character Santino. I
There
knew
we
it was
go.
Santino. I was going to say that earlier, and I was like, no, I'm pulling that out of my ass. They had the character Santino read a Spanish version of Stephen King's book's Pet Cemetery while in his jail cell.
I didn't notice that. Wow. So Robbie quietly and menacingly converses with him in Spanish to confirm who he is and what he's done. And Santino, apparently, says he's reformed. Then Robbie starts to ask more pointed questions, like, did he participate in the drive-by shooting of 2 young boys walking around minding their business? The reformed prisoner says that he heard that the kids lived, and Robbie says that may be true, but one of them will never walk again. Santino says that he refused to take that job, but when Robbie asks who made the order, he says that his fellow gang members never told him, and he would never be able to find out because soon after it happened, every single member of the 5th Street Locos died in flames. And then Robbie's eyes start to flame up as he says, all but one. He goes full flaming skull in the cell, and the rest of the block stops fighting immediately, and they just, like, lock themselves back in their cells, terrified, as the Ghost Rider walks confidently towards the exit. He finally got to avenge Gabe, and I'm so happy for him.
So the original idea for the episode came when the writers were helping break the story for the episode Uprising, which includes large-scale blackouts. Leela said that a blackout would be a perfect opportunity for Ghost Rider to break into a prison and murder criminals.
Ooh.
The series' writer's room all loved the idea of seeing Ghost Rider walking through a prison as all the inmates run back into their cells. But the situation did not fit into the episode. Several weeks later, when the room began discussing the 5th episode of the season, they had established that Ghost Rider's uncle, Eli Morrow, was in prison, and from there decided to use the Ghost Rider prison break as the basis for the new episode.
It was definitely, like, a cool shot.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of bad takes about convicts and felons and people in prison, and so yeah, I feel like for this particular thing, for his, like, revenge, it made a lot of sense. But yeah, the insinuation of him just, like, he just wants to go into a prison and murder everyone. I don't know, that was interesting because
Yeah.
he has, like, grown up around people who have been in and out of prison, so it's not like he's like, you've committed a crime, therefore you must die.
Yeah, that's not really what the Ghost Rider is. That's not even what they've written him to be.
Yeah.
I think I'm hoping that it's just a more oversimplified quote.
Hopefully.
You know what I mean?
Mac's quote was not great.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great.
Oh, Mac. You disappointed us. Maybe Robbie and Matt can have a little moment and they can like talk to each other and maybe undo some of these biases.
Yeah.
It's a learning moment for him. Although, but maybe not, because now everybody's gonna be mad at Robbie. So speaking of, Mac meets up with the SWAT team that arrives on scene and matches them up with the prison guards to take over the situation, which is hilarious. I do love that S.H.I.E.L.D. was like, we're going in here to break out one prisoner, and then they're like, oh, oops, we broke out all of them. Y'all handle it now. We got our guy.
And then they don't even.
So Coulson, May, and Daisy meet up with Mac and start asking where Robbie and Eli are, and Mac says they should have been out here already. Then Robbie shows up. The way that he shows up, and he's like, where's my uncle? What did you do with him?
I know, he's like so indignant.
And they're like, fucking, I don't know. Like, basically just shrugged
Wasn't
back
he
at him.
your job?
And then he's just like, fuck. They're all just like mad at each other. That was hilarious. And then it turns out Eli was intercepted by Lucy herself, and they hid away in the back of an ambulance. I don't really know what happened. Oh, I guess they said that Eli drove them away. It's interesting that, like, sometimes Lucy can touch things and sometimes she can't.
Yeah.
Like, she can...
I feel like she was, like, in the clip where it shows her kind of pushing him somewhat into the ambulance, it was like she was, like, holding her hand up like a weapon. Like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna touch you.
Yeah.
Nanny boo boo.
I'm not touching you. But then she's able to, like, close the ambulance doors, and, like, she pulled the lever to open all the prison
pull
doors
the lever
and stuff.
trunk.
Yeah, but then like, she can't drive the car. I don't know. It's very interesting. Would love to know the logistics of that.
Yeah. So the episode was a turning point for the Ghostwriter pod, with Morrow's release from prison moving the story arc into a new section. And so the writers included elements to set up future episodes.
They sure did. I guess. I assume. So Simmons goes back to Jeff's office to interrupt his ass kissing by the polygraph proctor. That was pretty funny. You did amazing. That was so good. Jeff thanks Simmons for her help today and uses his favorite phrase, "The team that trusts is the team that triumphs." He says that since her polygraph earlier yielded some alarming results, he'd like her to take it again. And Simmons hesitates and then straightens up and says, no thanks, actually. She says she's very familiar with micro-expressions and how the smallest thing can give away someone lying. She tells Jeff that actually he doesn't want her to take any more polygraph tests because they might ask her about her thoughts on his story today, how he described rescuing the woman in Vienna and going through pterogenesis, and how they both know that it wasn't the whole truth. Jeff then announces that Simmons doesn't ever have to take a polygraph ever again. And Simmons agrees. A team that trusts is a team that triumphs. I just hit myself in the head during that because it's so true.
It's so true. So true, bestie.
Wow.
The episode reveals that Mace became a public hero after the bombing of a United Nations meeting in Vienna, an event depicted in Captain America: Civil War. Mace was one of the many diplomats at the meeting and was photographed saving another's life. However, the episode does indicate that Mace may not be telling the truth about this.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So May goes to visit Daisy, who says that Robbie is off hating himself somewhere else. May says good, because she really only wanted to talk to Daisy. She says that this whole isolating herself thing is kind of May's whole thing. May kind of invented that and pushed it to the max, and can confirm it does not work. Because unfortunately, when Phil Coulson cares about you, you can't ever get him to let go of you. Daisy starts to say that she didn't ask for that, but May says, you don't get to choose who cares about you. Which is such a good line.
Yeah.
And then she says, and by the way, Lincoln wouldn't want you to kill yourself over what happened. And then May leaves her with that.
And that's the closest that anyone has come to telling her that it's not her fault. To telling her that she should go a little bit easier on herself.
Literally. Like, and it's not the same thing. It's not. I just need someone, god damn it, someone to say, hey, chill out. It's not your fault.
Truly.
God.
So, the script originally featured a heart-to-heart between Daisy Johnson and Phil Coulson, but executive producer Jed Whedon suggested that it instead be between Johnson and Melinda May, a change that Nora said made the episode sing. Leela said this change allowed the scene to give insight on how important Coulson is for May.
Yeah, I did love that. I thought it was really great that it was May and Daisy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like May is the person that Daisy listens to the most.
Yeah. Daisy loves Coulson, but she doesn't listen to him.
She has never listened to Coulson. Never,
made
not
a
once.
rebel of a careless man's hateful daughter.
Now we're just making up for not having any Taylor Swift references for a while. As May is walking out, though, Daisy says that she's only staying for this mission because she promised Coulson. And after that, she's gone. I don't believe that for a second, though.
So the first scene shot for the episode was the heart-to-heart between Johnson and May.
Aww. That makes sense.
What a way to start.
Yeah.
The way she started crying afterwards, I can't. I can't.
So good.
It hurts me.
So May joins Coulson again and says that she didn't tell Daisy anything she didn't already know. Coulson says they were able to find Eli and Lucy on the security footage at the prison, but they don't know where they went yet. And we immediately find that out. They went to the Momentum Lab, obviously. The unconscious bodies of the security guards littering the floor around them. Lucy tells Eli that she wants him to read the Darkhold to her because she can't. She wants to fix herself and then finish what they started. So Eli opens the book and his face lights up. Very dramatic.
That was the horror music.
That was the Glee version of the horror music.
Okay, I've been dragged. I got brush burn. So the Darkhold first appeared in Marvel Spotlight number 4. The very next issue, Marvel Spotlight number 5, was the first appearance of the original Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze.
Ah. Cool. So now it's time for the post-content content. Jeff meets with Senator Nadir in the back of a car. Sexy. He says this could have been a phone call, but she disagrees. She congratulates him on his poll numbers, which he thanks her for giving him no choice but to come out. And then she shows him some video footage from the prison showing S.H.I.E.L.D. agents working with known bank robber and inhuman named Quake, and also an unknown powered person with a flaming head who murdered model inmate who was looking at early parole. Love that she didn't mention that he's in there for a drive-by shooting 2 children.
Well, that he wasn't involved in that one, to be fair.
Right. Anyway. She says that these clips will be sent to ABC News in 2 hours. Jeff listened at her for a very long time. I thought he was gonna, like, show off some new powers, like shooting lasers out of his eyes or something.
I think in that moment he was, like, trying to figure out if he could.
Yeah. But he simply says, "What do you want?" And she smiles at him before it cuts to black. God damn it! The director is a double agent now.
Oh, no.
Oh. Wow.
The director's a pushover more than anything.
Yeah.
The director is very easily blackmailed.
He's a politician. That's what it is. Wow.
Oh boy.
This was quite an episode.
It was. So, what are your overall thoughts, my friend?
First of all, I'm so scared to have another double agent. I don't want it. And also, while Robbie should not have let his uncle out of his sight, like he did fuck up with that, I fully understand not being able to pass up the opportunity. Like,
yeah,
the very last guy responsible for paralyzing his baby brother, I think he should have just come clean to Eli and just done it in front of him. Like, I mean, damn. What about you?
I don't really have any overall thoughts. I'm very much looking forward to the next episode. Because this isn't a spoiler, but we get some backstory on your new favorite character.
Yay! I'm so excited! Cool.
All right, well, that concludes our episode on Season 4, Episode 5, Lockup.
Yeah!
Next time, we'll be covering Season 4, Episode 6, The Good Samaritan, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, bye!
Bye, love you!